Welcome to Position of the Week. I'm Grandmaster Aagaard. One of the great things about doing a Position of the Week and normally doing it on Mondays is that if you have a busy week, you can delay and delay and delay, and now it's Sunday. And those of you who are following it just once a week, you see I've managed to grow a beard since last time, so I have been too busy to shave. So the position here is from a game played in Gibraltar 2019. It's white was Katerina Lagno and black was Michael Adams. And this position was used as an exercise in the course I'm doing for kill chess training called Jakob teaches Renier the endgame. And Renier, he sort of messed up a little bit, and Lagno messed up as well. In the game, she played bishop b4 check. And then after king c4, bishop f8, she managed to get the situation on the king side quite clear, where the bishop can easily defend the pawns. But the problem is that black will, by putting the pawns in the same color as the white bishop, will be able to simply progress very easily. And here there's several things that does the black has a winning position here. After king b2, which wasn't very strong, we don't even see the effect on all of them. If we say white had played king d2 instead, we can see that in situations like this, it's very useful for black to have this square defended, so the pawn on f5 is actually very well placed. But this was not really a strong defensive try. You can imagine that this was played already, I think, in round 4, or is it round 11? It says 4.11. I'm not sure which way it is. It's not so important, but you can imagine already this has been a long game and the players are already a little bit tired. So the task here is to find a defense for white, and we can see that black's big threat is to play king to c4, and this is as Sam Shankland explained in Small Steps to Giant Improvement. It's very important for the king to support the pawns by being ahead of the pawns. So this move king c4 is very important. Now white can't really prevent it, but very importantly she was able to delay it a little bit, or here basically check. And now if we play king c3, trying to prevent it further, then comes a check with tempo, and then king b2 and c5, and actually black achieves everything he wanted to achieve anyway. So at this point here, both king b2 and king c2 makes a draw. For some reason I don't really understand. The computer prefers king b2 somewhat, but for me it's much more logical, as we shall see very soon, that the king goes immediately to c2. And here, if white plays b4, if black plays b4, then it's quite an easy draw. The point is here that this looks very silly. We have king b3, we win the pawn, and if b3 and king b2, we have check, and here, and the pawn on b3 is very, very much misplaced. Now it's simply a fortress. Black is not able to go over and attack the pawns on the successfully on the king side, and white will put the king on c3. So he will never ever be in an unfortunate position here. There's still some tricks that can be tried. For example, here I have a little analysis, and if this is a bit too much for you, just sort of ignore it. But for example, h4, king c3 also makes sense. But here the thing white needs to avoid is something like this. And we get to a position where black takes this pawn. And even though this here is a blockade on both flanks, white cannot hold it on both flanks. We see here that the bishop has jobs on both flanks. And oops, king c1 cannot be allowed. And now the bishop has a job on f6, and it's very characteristic for opposite colored bishop endings that we have these breakthroughs, and black gets another pass pawn and wins very easily. But if we go back a little bit, which we can here, then actually it was quite easy to make the draw in this way. Whenever the king comes over and threatens a c3 check, the bishop comes here, and it seems like it's a draw. But after, let's go back to this thing here: king b3, bishop e6 check, and king c2. So here, the most dangerous try for me, my understanding of these endgames, is black is trying to play for control of the dark squares with king c4, king in front of the pass pawn. Comes a6, we must play c5 to stop the pawn. We put the pawn on a7 because black will not have time to go down and take it. So there it will limit his bishop quite a lot. So the bishop is forever married to this diagonal. And here we then have to play actively on the king side. Now it's very important that against f5, white is in time with h5, and if b4, maybe bishop f2, maybe bishop h4 is very logical. The king goes to b5, and here there's various ways to fight for counterplay. I personally like this one here. It leads to draw with force play, but it's just a little illustration rather than going to a deep line here. So here, black's most logical try is to continue with the same plan. Check, and king d2, and now king b3. The idea is to push c4, b4, and c3. And black will manage to do it, and white has to play very, very actively here to make the draw. And when we did this class in our course, René and I, we didn't really look deeply into this line, and there was a little regret. And anyone who was present at the course, you maybe are seeing this now and are happy that I'm going through this thing that I obviously missed last time. So bishop f2, doesn't move order here doesn't matter so much, but here it's very important that white plays f5, because after c3 check we need to hit the bishop. So for example, in this position, if we play h5 and check here, then this move f5 is very, very useful. And now black will play king c2, b3, b2, and win quite easily. There is not enough time to take here, and here either king c2 or even in this situation king a2. But king c2 is for me is much more natural. But the reason why both work here is that in this situation here we simply come in here, and black is first. So let's go back to this position. Please, chess space. b4, and here white has to play only move f5, simply to prevent this move from black. And black didn't have the chance to play it earlier, because then we had time to take the pawn on g7 and race with the h-pawn. And here after check, here it's very, very important here that we play king d3. And here we see a phenomenon which we had in the class, which is that black's pawn cannot move forward on the dark squares. The white king is keeping it away. So for example, after c2, king d2, it's a blockade, and white will in time play h5 and then maybe threaten bishop f6, maybe play h6 and bishop takes f6, and it's enough counterplay to draw. And if we try something like king b2, then we have takes, takes, and takes. And here the king is very, very, very far away. So let's say we can try king c4, king a4, king c4, and here, and here, and the white king goes for the other flank, and here black has to hurry to make the draw. And just in time. Black draws by a tempo. So, very complicated position. The next two positions will again be positions that have been sent in and which Sam and I will look at. But I thought it was important to look again at this position from the course Jakob teaches near the endgame, which according to one of our subscribers, Jeremy, is his new favorite course on our academy, killerchesstraining.com. See you around, guys. Bye bye.